What happened when Kevin Hart stormed off the Today with Jenna and Friends show after a fiery controversy is now etched as one of the most dramatic live TV moments in recent memory. Known worldwide for his humor, wit, and magnetic stage presence, Kevin entered the studio with the same charm that has made him a household name. But as the questions shifted from light-hearted chatter to personal controversy, his demeanor began to change. The audience, expecting his trademark laughter and quick comebacks, instead saw a different side of him, serious, intense, and unwilling to let the moment slide. When he finally unclipped his mic and walked off stage, the room fell silent, leaving Jenna, her co-hosts, and millions of viewers in shock. At first, the exchange between Kevin and Jenna was easygoing. She asked about his latest projects, his upcoming tour, and even teased him about his social media antics. Kevin responded with smiles and quick jokes, keeping the audience entertained. But as Jenna shifted toward a sensitive topic, one tied to past controversies Kevin had faced, the atmosphere changed. His expression hardened, his responses shortened, and the tension became almost tangible. What was supposed to be light banter now felt more like an interrogation, and Kevin wasn't about to let it slide without making his feelings known. The moment Jenna pressed a little further, Kevin leaned forward, his tone sharper and his humor absent. He made it clear he wasn't comfortable with the direction of the conversation. For a man who has built his career on turning awkwardness into comedy, this time was different. There was no punchline, no wink at the camera, only raw honesty. The studio audience, unsure how to respond, shifted uneasily in their seats, while Jenna tried to recover with nervous laughter. But Kevin wasn't laughing anymore. The breaking point came swiftly. Kevin pushed back his chair, the scrape of its legs against the studio floor echoing across the set. He removed his microphone, placed it firmly on the table, and stood tall, his eyes fixed on the exit. Jenna began to speak, perhaps to diffuse the situation, but he didn't give her the chance. Without a word, he walked off, his footsteps heavy with frustration. For those watching live, it was a surreal moment. Kevin Hart, the king of comedy, walking away from the very stage designed to celebrate him. The audience inside the studio gasped, some whispering to each other while others instinctively raised their phones to capture the moment. This wasn't part of a skit or a clever publicity stunt. It was real, unscripted television. The silence that followed his departure was louder than any joke could have been. For a show built on cheerful chatter and smooth transitions, this sudden rupture was almost unthinkable. And yet it was happening live, leaving the hosts scrambling to fill the void. Behind the cameras, panic set in. Producers shouted into headsets, unsure whether to cut to commercial or stay live. Some gestured frantically to Jenna to keep talking, while others tried to chase Kevin down the hallway. The control room buzzed with chaos because they knew what millions of viewers also knew. This clip was going to explode across the internet within minutes. No amount of damage control could stop the wildfire once the footage hit social media. Jenna, trying to salvage the show, forced a smile and told the audience, well, live TV is always full of surprises. Her co-hosts chuckled nervously, but their eyes betrayed their discomfort. The energy of the show had evaporated. What should have been a morning filled with laughter now felt like a stage haunted by the absence of its biggest star. The rest of the segment dragged on awkwardly, with the shadow of Kevin's exit looming over every word. Outside the studio, Kevin was met by a crowd of paparazzi who had already caught wind of the drama. Flashbulbs popped as reporters shouted questions, hoping for an angry outburst or a statement. But Kevin said nothing. His silence was louder than any rant could have been. He walked briskly, head down, his frustration clear in every movement. For someone known for his ability to speak a mile a minute, his refusal to say a single word told the world just how deeply the clash had affected him. Online, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Clips of the walkout were uploaded within minutes, flooding Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Hashtags like "Just Kevin Hart storms off" and "Jenna clash" trended worldwide. Fans were split. Some praised Kevin for standing his ground, while others criticized him for being unprofessional. Memes, reaction videos, and heated debates filled every corner of the internet. The fiery controversy wasn't just a TV moment anymore. It had become a cultural flashpoint. By the next morning, news outlets everywhere carried the headline, "Kevin Hart storms off today with Jenna and Friends Show after fiery controversy." Analysts debated what it meant for Kevin's career, whether Jenna had gone too far, and what lessons live television should learn from the incident. But one thing was certain. In an age where authenticity is rare, Kevin's unfiltered response reminded everyone that celebrities, no matter how famous, are human beings with limits. His storm-off wasn't just a headline, it was a statement that reverberated far beyond the studio walls. Kevin Hart's team faced a whirlwind in the hours after the walkout. Publicists fielded dozens of calls from media outlets. Agents debated whether to issue a statement, and his closest friends urged him to take a step back before saying anything publicly. Silence, they knew, could be powerful, but the longer Kevin stayed quiet, the more speculation grew. Was this the end of his relationship with the Today with Jenna and Friends show? Or was it a temporary storm he would eventually laugh off in true Kevin Hart fashion? For Jenna, the fallout was immediate and personal. Social media users flooded her pages with criticism, some accusing her of baiting Kevin with insensitive questions. Others defended her, insisting she was simply doing her job as an interviewer. The polarizing debate placed Jenna under a harsh spotlight, forcing her to confront the reality that even a seasoned host can misstep on live TV. In interviews that followed, she avoided pointing fingers, but the tension in her responses made it clear the clash had rattled her deeply. The network executives behind the show saw the storm in two lights. On one hand, ratings had skyrocketed, bringing in viewers who hadn't tuned in for years. On the other hand, advertisers were cautious, worried that future guests might shy away from the program. Meetings grew tense as the producers weighed whether to extend an olive branch to Kevin or quietly move on. Either way, the controversy had altered the DNA of the show, proving that even the safest of formats could spiral into chaos. Fans of Kevin Hart rallied online, flooding his accounts with supportive messages. They praised him for drawing a line, for showing that even celebrities don't have to tolerate questions that cut too deep. Many shared personal stories of walking away from toxic situations, using Kevin's moment as inspiration. This surge of loyalty created a wall of positivity around him, softening much of the criticism and reminding the world why he remained such a beloved figure in entertainment. The entertainment industry itself joined the conversation. Fellow comedians spoke out, some commending Kevin for refusing to play along, others cautioning that storming off could damage relationships in Hollywood. Actors and musicians shared similar experiences of being pushed too far during interviews, sparking a larger conversation about the pressures of live television. In a way, Kevin's walkout gave others the courage to voice frustrations they had long kept hidden. A few days later, Jenna addressed the controversy directly on air. Her tone was calm, but her words carried weight. She admitted the segment had gone off track, expressed regret over the tension, and emphasized that she valued Kevin as both a guest and a person. Though the statement didn't erase the awkwardness of the moment, it was an attempt at rebuilding trust. Some viewers accepted her apology, while others saw it as scripted damage control. Either way, it added another chapter to the ongoing saga. Kevin finally broke his silence during a stand-up performance, weaving the storm off into his act with the sharp humor only he could deliver. Rather than avoid the controversy, he turned it into a joke, making light of the chaos while subtly reminding audiences that his humanity came first. The crowd roared with laughter and applause, showing that his connection with fans remained unshaken. By reclaiming the story on his own stage, Kevin proved he could transform even the most fiery moments into triumph. In the end, the clash became more than just a headline. It was a reminder of the unpredictability of live television, the fragility of celebrity interviews, and the power of drawing boundaries in the public eye. Kevin Hart storming off the Today with Jenna and Friends show after a fiery controversy wasn't just about anger, it was about authenticity. And in a world where so much feels staged, that authenticity, however uncomfortable, made the moment unforgettable.